This is the country of the blind. About fantasy, this lesson is all about your short story. In your unit 3, the second story, after which is loves, you have this story. I thought I can just do a small recap of this, because being a short story, you should just know the story of this lesson, that would do, which will help you to get 5 marks for your answers. But still, the crust is very important, because this is going to help you to write good descriptive essays if it is asked. So first and foremost thing H.G. Wells tries to say about that country, that the country of the blind, he says, no. So the first full page, like if you see this full page, it's talking about how this particular country was created. So this is all about fantasy, so you have to imagine a lot about this. And in the first line itself, we could see that he states 300 miles and more from Chimborazo, 100 from the snows of Cotopaxi, in the widest ways of the Ecuador's Ains, there lies that mysterious mountain valley cut off from all the world's men. So, very world of men. Very nicely, he says where this beautiful country lies, and somewhere very far, okay, 100 miles away from the place of. 300 miles away. And then he states some beautiful places for it. And there comes the world of men, the country of the blind. So long years ago, so how this blind country was created. So the next full passage over here, if you see the first paragraph, it is talking about how this beautiful little country was created. So long years ago, that valley lay so far open to the world that men might come at last through frightful Georges. Okay, so actually earlier it was like a place where men can come and go. Okay, through narrow valleys they can come and go, and over an icy pass into its equable meadows. And thither, and what do you mean by thither? To that place, indeed, men came, a family or so, Peruvian half-breeds fleeing from the lust and tyranny of an evil Spanish ruler. So they were coming to this place to be, not to suffer under another Spanish ruler. They started fleeing to this country. So these Peruvian half-breeds, okay, they started coming and living in this particular place. They came. Then came the stupendous outbreak of Mindobamba. Okay, so there was a kind of earthquake and other natural calamities that caused this particular slope to get to get frosted. And then there were a lot of landslides, floods. Okay, so and finally this Aroka crest slipped and came down in thunder and cut off the country of the blind forever from the exploring fleet of men. So mostly after that particular session, natural disaster, this particular country of the blind became totally far away. It went away far. But one of these early settlers had a chance to be on the either side of the Georges when the valley had so terribly shaken itself, and he perforce had to forget his wife and his child and all the friends and possessions he had left up there, and start life over again in the lower world. He started again, but ill blindness overtook him and he died of punishment in the mines. But the story he told begot a legend that lingers along the length of the Cordilleras of the Andes to this day. So why they all became blind, and how come this particular man who left away her women, his wife, children, and all, and he started living over? Actually, he didn't purposely do it. Because of the landslide, he happened to get far away from his family and friends. But still, they all say because of this man's curse who left his family, this particular country has been cursed by the Mother Earth, so that okay, they live the whole generation after generation, they live life without eyesight. So, and now what happened? So the reason of venturing back, that fastness into which He had first been carried lashed to a llama beside a vast bale of gear when he was a child. The valley, he said, had in it all that the heart of man could desire: sweet water. Then it had pasture and even climate, slopes of rich brown soil, tangles of a shrub that bore an excellent fruit, and on one side, great hanging forest of pine that held the um, avalanches high. So far overhead on three sides, the vast cliffs of grey green rock were capped by cliffs of ice, but the glacier stream came not to them but flowed away by the farther slopes, and not now and then huge ice masses fell on the valley side. So in this valley, it neither rained nor snowed, but the abundant springs gave a rich green pasture that irrigation would spread over all the valley space. The settlers did well indeed there. Their beasts did well and multiplied, and but one thing marred to spoil something, their happiness. Yet it was enough to mar it greatly. A strange disease had come upon them and had made all the children born to them there. Okay, made all the children born to them there, and indeed several older children also blind. So one curse because of this man fleeing away, leaving his children and wife and all, they used to say, and that is a curse. But their land is so good. You could see the beautiful description. What you have to be very clear about is the description given in this particular passage. All this will be useful for you to write a descriptive passage. Supposing they are going to ask you, if you are going to go to a hill station, describe a passage about hill station. So very nicely you can write about, see how the water is: sweet water, pasture, even climate, slopes of rich brown soil. Okay, so soil is a noun, so rich brown is your adjective, so climate is your noun, even climate. And then if you see water, how the water is sweet water. So supposing you say just like that, you can imagine you're going somewhere, use these things as your descriptive passage. Okay, very beautifully woven sentences. So this is what this English book is for. We need to improve your English, and all that is in your lesson itself to improve your English. So this is a beautiful description of the particular place where he is going, that is about the country. And now what happened? So see, this is just a text where you have to read and enjoy and just know the gist of the lesson. That's it. And then what happened? So to seek some charm or antidote against the plague of blindness that he had with the fatigue and danger and difficult to return down the George. In those days, in such cases, men did not think of germs and infections but of sins, and it seemed to him that the reason of this affliction must lie in the negligence of these priestless emigrants to set up a shrine so soon as they entered the valley. He wanted a shrine, a handsome, cheap, effectual shrine to be erected in the valley. So what happened is that man, okay, that man thought that, okay, they didn't think about, they don't know about, like some kind of some kind of disease persisted there or something like that, but they only thought because of the sin that they have committed, this has been given as a curse to them. What's a sin? Sin is like some bad deed which you have done, and for that you have been cursed. God has cursed you. That is what it is. And because shrine is not there, so shrine, you have to build some kind of mm, a godly idol where you can, shrine where you like where you can keep your idols and worship. So they plan to build a shrine and all over there. So this and all is made in this particular passage for you. So this is happening in that particular village. Then you can see the throat of the George into the plain and the sunlight. He was stiff and weary. He sat down in the shadow of a rock, filled up his flask with water from a spring. Actually, I'm sorry, I turned too big this time. Sorry, I was thinking why. So now you could see after this, it's all about they thought of clubbing up ornaments and everything. In the last page you could have all that, and then they think of So what happens? Such treasure up, he said, to buy them holy help against their ill. I figure this dim-eyed young mountaineer, sunburnt, gaunt, and anxious, had brim clutched feverishly, a man all unusual to all the ways of the lower world, telling the story to some keen-eyed, attentive priest before the great convulsion. So I can picture him presently seeking to return with pious and infallible remedies against that trouble and the infinite dismay with which he must have faced the tumbled vastness. So all this is, it's all about what mischief thing they have done and why is that they've been cursed with such kind of a punishment that no child has been born without eyes. Okay, so it's just a description of what and all they did. And here also in the next paragraph you could see again it still continues. Okay, and amidst the little population of that now isolated and forgotten valley, the disease ran its course. The old became groping, the young saw but dimly, and the children that were born to them were um, were saw were them never saw at all. Okay, so as days passed by one by one, they started losing their eyesight, and finally the children those who were born to them also did not have. Totally they were they begot children without eyesight. So this is the condition of this particular place. So they talk about Spanish civilization, they talk about philosophy, then generation followed generation after generation, like more than 7 generation did not have eyes. So this is the kind of the people who are living over there. Now when you come, you can see he was a mountaineer. Okay, from the country near. Now we are introduced to Nannes. Now who is this person? He is Nannes. Okay, now from where he is? From the country near Twitter, a man who had been down to the sea and had seen the world, a reader of books in an original way, an acute and enterprising man, and he was taken what? Taken on by a party of Englishmen who had come out to Kyoder to climb mountain. So just like that, this fellow, our fellow Nanas, he was simply there. But some other friends of his only tried to take him and come for this mountaineering. There from there only the story begins. He climbed here and he climbed there. Actually, he was a replacement of another person. Okay, so because he had fallen ill, they asked this Nanas to come. And then came the attempt to Paris, actually on Parascotepti and Matterhorn of the Ains, in which he was lost to the outer world. So from there only importantly, until then here and there he was climbing. But when he came to this particular place, okay, this is a particular place from Paras. It is Parascotopti and this place, the Matterhorn of the Ages. From there he went to the outer world. He was got lost. Okay, he just got lost. The story of that accident has been written in dozen times. So how this accident helped, how he happened to give away his friends, like he was lost there. Okay, many people have written lot of stories about it. Then Pointer's narrative is the best, out of which Pointer has given good narration about this. He tells how the little party worked their difficult and almost vertical way up to the very foot of the last and greatest precipice. So some this Pointer's story was really good, how they went to this precipice, the end place. And how they built a night shelter amidst the snow upon a little shelf of rock, and with a touch of a real dramatic power, how presently they found none had gone from them. They shouted, and there was no reply. Shouted and whistled, and for the rest of that night they slept no more. So from Pointer's description, we could easily accept, or we should easily understand how Nandas were lost from these friends. Okay, actually he didn't want to go, but he went because one of his friend didn't turn up, but then he was lost that day. As the morning broke, they saw the traces of his fall. So in the from where the place they were lying down having the tent, he had fallen down. It seems like impossible he could have uttered a sound, because like it is a deep thing. He would have just scrolled down and just rolled down. He had slipped eastward towards the unknown side of the mountain. Far below, he had struck a steep slope of snow and plowed his way down it in the midst of snow avalanche. So it is just like, like he has traveled down right underneath, traveled right from the place where they had their tent, and he must have gone down. Even if it made noise, any sound wouldn't have been heard, because it is very deep. So I could see the edge of the frightful precipice, and beyond that everything was hidden. Far, far below and hazy with distance, they could see trees rising out of a narrow shut-in valley, the lost country of the blind. But they did not know it was a lost country of the blind, nor distinguish it in any way from any other narrow streak of upland valley. So unnerved by this disaster, they abandoned their attempt in the afternoon, and Pointer was called away to the war before he could make another attack. To this day of uh, Parascopeti lives an unconquered crest, and Pointer shelter crumbles in sorry unvisited amidst the snows. So this is, see, this lesson is as I told you, it is all full of descriptions. And here you could see how this fellow started from his place, and then we go with the pointers writing of how he happened to be slipped into that valley, and how they, in the afternoon, they stopped searching him and they went away from that place. And the man who fell survived. Actually, that man who was traveling with them, he fell into that deep down mountain, right? So he survived. From the survival only, the lesson starts. So until here, into the 2 pages, like we have a good description about the country and what is the curse in that country, how people lived in the country, and how many generations are there, like people are there living without the eyes, and how come our particular hero Nanas happened to go with them. And it's again a story of one particular story is again taken up, and that is this pointer story. And this fellow survived. So at the end of the slope, he fell 1,000 feet and came down in the midst of a cloud of snow. So all this is like how he got like this full paragraph. If you see, it's only about how he escaped and how he started rolling. So it's a good descriptive passage. Again, let's see whether you have to give a very big applause for it. After a great interval of time, he became aware that he was near the lower edge of the snow. Okay, so below down what was now a moonlit and practicable slope, he saw the dark and broken appearance of rock. So little by little he is getting up and seeing. He could hear the sound of the birds, and he sat up. What he did there, how his hands were paining and all the description you could see in this passage. And then now we can go very fast because it's all about the lesson which you want to learn now. So now how his throat got dried up, and what did he do? He started drinking some water, and then comes, they were very strange to his eyes, and indeed the whole aspect of that valley became regarded as he regarded it queerer and more unfamiliar. The greater part of its surface was lush green meadows starred with many beautiful flowers. So again, see, beautiful description of that place, how he sees that place. Okay, so all the description of that man sitting up, and he started admiring the place. And see this full passage, a very big passage. It's all about the beauty of that particular place where he got up and he sat. So this is the beauty of your place shown over here. This full passage is going to, this full paragraph, you can just read like what and all he saw in that country of the blind only will be given over here. And then now there's a noise. And what is that noise? A man once said in hardly recognized Spanish, a man, it is a man or a spirit coming down from the rocks. But none is advanced with the confident steps of a youth who enters upon life. All the old stories of the lost valley and the country of the blind had come back to his mind, and through his thoughts ran this old proverb, as it were a refrain. If in the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is a king. In the country of the blind, the one-eyed man is a king. So as he was sitting here, he was crossing all the places and all the things. He could see closely some people walking and coming, and finally he recognizes the people to have no eyes. And so he understood that this is a country of the blind, and now this kind of a thought runs in his mind. So he's going to be the ruler of that particular place, and very very civilly he gave them greeting. He talked to them and used his used his eyes. Where does he come from, brother Pedro asked one. Down out of the rocks, over the mountains I come, said Nanus. Out of the country beyond there, where men can see from near Bukata, where there are hundred thousands of people and where the city passes out. So here it is very very clear. So he is very clear in telling them, I'm coming from a place where people can see, he'll be only talking about all these things to them. This is all a conversation about these people, and they only feel that this person is a strange person, because they will touch his eyes and all and see, and they say his eyes and all is not grip and it is running. So they all think that this person is not a is someone different, and you have come into the world as Pedro, out of the world, over mountains and glaciers, right over above there, half a sun, great big, all this, all descriptions, all he'll give, because he has his eyes. He'll talk about vision and all, but they will never even heed to his ears. They'll only say this man is a madman, okay, and his eyes is not good. He is that place where the eyes is, no, they will touch that place and they'll say it is rolling. So they'll say they have to operate it out. So all this kind of things they will try to talk. So they'll bring the people from the elderly people in their society. They will bring them and they will start talking with him. And this man will again and again talk about this vision, light, sun, and all those things. But they'll all say that this some kind of problem this wild man has. This wild man has no proper vision, or he does not know to handle things, and that is the reason like he's talking, and they will try to tell that this man has this man need to be treated because his eyeballs are rolling only, he is behaving like that, they'll all say. So these are all the conversation which they all come across, and this man again and again, when he tries to say no, that's not nice, that's not fair, this is how people will live, whatever happens, like the conversation goes, the voice of an older man began to question him, and Anas found himself trying to explain the great world out of which he had fallen. So all this becomes a part of his part of his explanations, but still this man does not heed to any of the people living over there, and finally he also falls in love with a girl over there. Nanis falls in love with a girl over there, and whatever he tries to explain to them, it falls in dead man's ears for them, and it's very funny, like when you read the lesson, like they will try to operate him, or then what they'll do is they'll say that this man is not yet grown, they say he is now only newborn baby, that's why he cannot walk, because it's they will find the dark and the night like dark and the light day, bright daylight as the same thing. But for him, during the night time when they ask him to walk, he can't walk, he'll crawl and he'll fall down, and all this happen, and they'll say only his newborn creature, I suppose, that's why he cannot walk. All that beautiful conversation will go on. Now that comes to the marriage between himself and the great man over there, like he falls in love with a girl, right? So there will be one kind of a conversation going on, like whether if you want to get married means you have to get operated, this is what will be the final thing among them, and that is highly impossible, because if he is going to get operated, he cannot live. But what was his thought is, he thought like he can rule the world, but this totally happens to be a different thing for him. He cannot anymore rule the world and all. One thing he can do, he can give up his eyes and he can marry that beautiful king's daughter and stay there. Okay, that elderly man's daughter and stay there. Otherwise, he should run away from that place. Two things he should do. So he doesn't know rightly what to do. So these people are uncivilized. He tries to change them, but that is falling under the deaf eyes. So finally, our Nanas finds it very difficult to stay there and even gives up his love which he had for that young girl. He even gives it up. Nanas gives that. See, this is a young girl, Medina. Okay, Medina Saroti. This is the young girl whom he likes and he loves and he wants to get married. And he'll try to even tell her about the beauty of the nature, teach to her how you can see through your eyes, because you don't have eyes, you cannot see this beautiful world. All this he'll try to give. He'll try to talk about imagination. So many things he will try to explain to that small girl. But that girl, they don't know what is called vision. So when you don't know something what is vision, how will they understand things? So the question comes that, like, whether he should give up his love or he should give up his eyes. So this is how the final thing goes. And finally, Medina Sarota, he cannot marry her, so he gives his love, and he tries to move away from that place, because he knows that if he's going to live there, they are going to not allow him to stay with his eyes. They are going to operate him or do something. So he runs away from that place. And finally, H.G. Wells, why he runs away from that place, and still the people over there are living with that beautiful in that beautiful little place without their eyes. They have their own world, beautiful world, and this man runs away from there. So he tries to only prove one thing, whatever it is. Like, if you feel that you are strong in one thing, like he felt that he is strong and because he has got his eyes and he can rule the world, but that is proved to be wrong when they all have the one issue with them. But that is not a negative thing for them. They can always survive because their unity was better than and more strong than our Nannis's thought. So that's why Nannis had to leave that place away and run away from the place, and he runs away from the place. And this is just an imaginary little story. Okay, so just to teach one lesson for us. So that's a commonly spread thing, no? Like, you all think that you are strong, but when all the negatives also join together become strong. So that is what is the main thing, theme of the story over here by H.C. Wells. So I feel it's this lesson is really good. You also have the same thing. You think that you know too much. Many of our children think that they know too much, but the problem is, when they think that they know too much of themselves, they forget to analyze the stronger areas of the opposite sides. So this is the lesson that teaches you that you should not feel that you are very strong or you know things well. There are so many people in the world that, though they don't show off or they don't try to put it out openly, there are people who are stronger than you. So you should know to treat them equally as what you are. It's overconfidence and confidence. This is a difference. Okay, so thank you, students. A bit to know and easy to learn for you. I'll post for you the exercises in the next video. Thank you.